Tomorrow night at 7, Stockard Channing and Brian Dennehy star in Perfect Witness. Chicago's very own 9 o'clock news.
Regrettably, ladies and gentlemen, I heard nothing today that, in over 6 hours, I heard nothing that suggested to me any Iraqi flexibility whatsoever.
We had grave or big differences about the issues we addressed.
It doesn't need to be a bilateral negotiation here. We tried that, and we were stiff-armed by an intransigent foreign secretary.
Disappointment in Geneva, discouragement in Washington, and the grim specter of war in the Middle East looms ever larger. Good evening, I'm Rick Rosenthal.
And I'm Allison Payne. What appears to have been the last best chance for a peaceful resolution of the Persian Gulf crisis ended in failure today.
Secretary of State Baker and Iraq's Foreign Minister Aziz talked far longer than most observers had expected today, but in the end it was to no avail. There was no change in the hardline position of either side and little sign of even a reason to hope for a diplomatic solution to the confrontation in the Persian Gulf. John Aubuchon reports.
3 sessions across a long table in Geneva, almost 7 hours of talks. And as the hours passed, hopes grew. Maybe something was happening. But no. By the time President Bush walked into a crowded news conference, we already knew.
No evidence whatsoever that Iraq was willing to comply with the international community's demand to withdraw from Kuwait and comply with the United Nations resolutions.
The Iraqi foreign minister would not even accept the letter President Bush wrote to Saddam Hussein.
This was a total stiff arm. This was a total rebuff.
At the Geneva hotel where he'd met Iraqi Foreign Minister Aziz, Secretary of State Baker wearily replayed their talks.
Regrettably, ladies and gentlemen, I heard nothing today that, in over 6 hours, I heard nothing that suggested to me any Iraqi flexibility whatsoever.
Both sides say Aziz spent a lot of the meeting trying to link the Gulf crisis to Israel and the Palestinian issue, while Baker, as promised, was very clear about what will happen if Iraq does not pull out of Kuwait.
His language was diplomatic and polite. I reciprocated, but the substance was full of threats. And I told him, also in substance, that we will not yield to threats.
Aziz claimed he would not take the Bush letter to Saddam because of its impolite language, a charge rejected at the White House.
The letter was not rude. The letter was direct, and the letter did exactly what I think is necessary at this stage. But to refuse to even pass a letter along seems to me to be just one more manifestation of the stonewalling that has taken place.
The president said while today's marathon in Geneva failed, he's not closing the door on diplomacy. A mission by United Nations Secretary General Perez de Cuellar to Baghdad will be welcomed by Washington.
I talked to the Secretary General of the United Nations today, and there is a chance that he might undertake such a mission. Certainly we'd have no objection.
I wonder where it is you find this hope for a peaceful solution.
I'm not sure I have great hope for it, but I think when human life is at stake, you go the extra mile for peace.
And Iraq has already signaled the UN leader will be welcomed there, too. France also has said it would make a diplomatic stab at peace if today's talks failed. But French President Mitterrand has come dangerously close to promising Iraq a Middle East peace conference if it gives up Kuwait. And the U.S. is dead set against any promises.
And the one thing I would ask you all not to do is to equate diplomacy and appeasement. We made that mistake in the 30s. At least for our part, we don't intend to make it again.
Time for talk, Baker underlined, is running out. President Bush's admitted pessimism at the end of this day of diplomacy still does not mean war. He made that point while leaving one more opening for Saddam Hussein to back down under the cover of negotiations, not with the United States, but with the United Nations. At the White House, John Aubuchon, WGN News.
And United Nations Secretary General Javier Perez de Cuellar announced tonight that he will indeed fly to Baghdad for meetings Saturday with Saddam Hussein in hopes that he might find a diplomatic solution to the crisis in the Persian Gulf. Allison?
The possibility of war became so much more reality as Americans listened to and watched Baker, Aziz, and the president comment on today's talks. Chicagoans paused today to hear the grim news that was coming from the other side of the world. Those with loved ones in the Middle East are seeking comfort tonight. Roseanne Tellez is in Hoffman Estates and joins us now with that part of the story. Roseanne?
Well, Rick and Allison, I've just been visiting with people who have family members stationed in the Persian Gulf right now. They're holding a support group here in this library in Hoffman Estates. And while this meeting has been planned for weeks, some of these folks say they need support more than ever right now. But they are by no means the only people watching the situation closely. Even on busy Michigan Avenue, things seem to come to a standstill as President Bush told the nation we are one day closer to war. These people gathered at a TV screen in a window, some hearing exactly what they expected to hear.
Well, I feel that if President Bush backs down again, then they're not going to believe the next thing he has to say. So he should go with his initial point.
Just settle the thing peacefully. You ain't got to go to war because that ain't going to do it mess it up more for the economy, ain't it?
But others in the crowd said they are disappointed that Secretary of State Baker and Foreign Minister Aziz reached no middle ground.
You know, whatever comes out, I hope that they talk enough that they don't have a war.
Have you ever been to a war, or?
Yes, I lived through a war in Europe, so to the Nazi war, you know. So I still have it on my shoulders, and I was little by the time.
But perhaps few are more worried about the prospect of war than those whose loved ones are in the Persian Gulf. This woman has a son in the army in Saudi Arabia. At a support group, she describes her feelings.
A lot of pain. A lot of pain. It's hard to talk without crying, you know, without getting emotional. You have to really be there to know how it feels. It's very painful.
But her husband supports the U.S. position.
I know I want to win the war, you know, that's the only thing. So they should do something, you know, because he threatened us, you know, that's the only thing, you know.
Now, the Faldsteins are very proud of their son, but they're also very concerned and very worried tonight. And that's why they're at tonight's support meeting. And they would encourage other families in the same situation to also seek out this kind of support. Organizers tell me with today's developments, they expect to be seeing more of these support groups popping up everywhere. Reporting live, I'm Roseanne Tellez. Back to you, Rick and Allison.
Very good idea. Thanks, Roseanne.
All right, Roseanne. The events of the day were also being watched carefully on Capitol Hill, where Congress is expected to face its first vote on a possible declaration of war in 26 years. Each of the two chambers on Capitol Hill, the House and the Senate, are reviewing competing resolutions. One would give the president authority to use force against Iraq. Another would urge him to wait. There is a wide range of opinions on Capitol Hill, as you might expect. Mark Mooney has a report.
While James Baker and Tariq Aziz were eyeball to eyeball in Geneva, Democratic leaders on Capitol Hill were promising President Bush fair play when it comes to an up or down vote on his much sought-after option to use force.
I have said to all Democrats with whom I've met that I consider this to be a primary issue of conscience as well as judgment.
Congress will consider three main Gulf resolutions, including the president's, which is basically a mirror image of the UN resolution authorizing military force against Iraq. Divisions within the American public about war-making in the Gulf are reflected in the different proposals and have set even Democrats against each other.
Because I think that Saddam Hussein is banking on, his entire strategy is wrapped around a belief that the American will and American resolve is going to dissolve before too long, and I don't think we can allow that to happen.
But it seems for every vote for the president, there is a vote for the resolution that says stay the course and let sanctions do the work.
What's the rush to war? Why don't we give the sanctions a chance to work?
And yet another resolution with an eye to the Constitution gives war-making power only to Congress, no matter what the UN does.
We do know that we, as the elected representatives of the American people, have a responsibility, and that it cannot just be the president informing Congress of what he's doing.
The president has been doing much personal lobbying on behalf of what amounts to a congressional declaration of war. But all along the way of this 5-month crisis, Mr. Bush has maintained he doesn't need it, according to his interpretation of the Constitution. It's possible more than one resolution could pass in Congress, giving its members political cover if things should go badly for U.S. forces in a shooting war. But most observers agree the president's hand was greatly strengthened on Capitol Hill by the Iraqi rebuff in Geneva. In Washington, Mark Mooney, WGN News.
Debate on the resolutions is expected to begin tomorrow on Capitol Hill with a vote in the House expected by Saturday.
The state of Israel, which has been trying to keep a low profile during the crisis, tonight is taking a forceful stand. Tariq Aziz promises Iraq will attack Israel if war breaks out. And Israel isn't backing down, saying Saddam Hussein has been threatening Israel since April. Israel's Consul General in Chicago told us tonight that his country is ready to fight back, with or without U.S. support.
We never want one American soldier to fight for us. We never want one American soldier to spill blood for Israel. We will protect ourselves, and this has been our policy for the last 42 years. This made us a credible, democratic, strategic ally of the United States.
Barnier reiterates Israeli support for the U.S., saying his country will help the United States in any situation. But it must respond to an Iraqi attack, even if it means harming the U.S.-led military coalition in the Gulf.
Coming up next on the 9 o'clock news, we'll talk with a national security expert about today's developments in the Persian Gulf crisis.
And more troops move through Fort Sheridan on their way to the Middle East.
She didn't understand me. I say, let's have a nice white grape raspberry Boku. We're adults, we can choose. Boku is adult flavors. There's no straw involved. We're talking pull tab here. And can you believe she wouldn't even let me go to the juice box aisle, and she'd drive by the supermarket to see if my car was parked outside. I hear now she's seeing a juice box counselor. All I wanted was a Boku.
Boku fruit juice cooler from McCain.
Is that too much to ask?
How would you like to be a Homemaker's employee just long enough to get our employee discount? Well, this weekend we're inviting you to take our 20% employee discount on any one item in the store. Do you like this sofa? Your employee discount entitles you to 20% off. On one item only, remember. So if you want a dining set, take the discount on the most expensive piece. Get your employee discount this weekend only at Homemakers.
To get rid of her gray, my wife can spend 40 minutes. But I discovered the 5-minute hair coloring.
The revolutionary discovery called Just for Men from the leader in men's hair coloring. Simply apply Just for Men and in 5 minutes shampoo out.
Gray is blended away. The look of my natural color is back in 5 minutes. That was me, and it won't fade or wash out.
My hair takes forever, but you look great in just 5 minutes.
The look of your natural color in just 5 minutes with Just for Men.
Our dentist gave us a reason to switch toothpaste.
Baking soda. He recommended it for healthier teeth and gums.
In fact, 2 out of 3 dentists and hygienists recommend baking soda for healthier teeth and gums.
And only one major toothpaste has it. Arm & Hammer Dental Care, the baking soda toothpaste from the baking soda experts.
And here's refreshing news for gel lovers. Now there's a baking soda gel with the cool taste of freshly picked mint. Wait till you taste new Arm & Hammer Dental Care Gel.
We've invited Dr. Sam Sarkeesian to join us again in our studios tonight to put some perspective to today's events in the Persian Gulf crisis. Dr. Sarkeesian is a professor of political science at Loyola University and an expert on national security studies and America and modern war. Were you surprised about today's developments out of Geneva?
Not really surprised, but disappointed. I had expected something more positive to come out of the Geneva meetings, although all is not lost.
Why do you say that?
Well, it seems to me that Iraq would hesitate to present to the world an image that it has given into the United States. What it does now is clear the way for a third party, the French, the Europeans, the Algerians, the Secretary General. It's more likely, therefore, that Iraq might find some common ground with this third party, now that it's cleared the way from the United States.
Well, was this whole exercise then nothing more than eyewash for public consumption on both sides?
I don't think it was eyewash. I think it did a lot of good in terms of really clarifying the issues in terms of the United States and Iraq. And after all, this is the first time they've met in months and years, and I think the positions taken now make the issues very, very clear.
So who is this third party? Is it going to be Javier Pérez de Cuellar, who is due in Baghdad on Saturday?
Who knows? I would hope it's that the Secretary General is part of this, but of course the French are involved, the Algerians are involved, and European community people are involved.
Tariq Aziz met with the Algerian foreign minister after his meetings with Secretary Baker today in Geneva. We hear nothing coming of that.
Well, I would think that contrary to what people have saying about back channels, I would think there's an awful lot of third-party diplomacy going on right now in Geneva and outside of Geneva.
So regardless of who the principal player ends up being, whoever this third party happens to be, paint us a scenario that's going to get us off the hook before January the 15th.
Well, I'm not sure it's going to get us off the hook. I think the United States is preparing for the worst. I hate to say it. But it's conceivable. There are two scenarios that could happen. A third party gets involved here, and Iraq agrees with the third party to do certain things to start withdrawing. Or the second scenario could be that Saddam Hussein will wait till the last minute on the 15th, and as he did in the Iran-Iraq war, the last minute decide to withdraw, saying he's accomplished his mission in Kuwait.
Now, how is he going to frame that? What is his fig leaf here, as it's been phrased in Washington, that allows him to make this statement that he's accomplished whatever it was that he tried to achieve in Kuwait?
Well, I recall the Iran-Iraq war. Here, after 8 years, 300,000 Iraqis were killed, and overnight, Saddam Hussein returned everything back to Iran. That Allah has shown me the light, and I can see the same kind of thing coming out if indeed that option is there.
Can he sell that at home again?
Well, seeing the kind of tight control he has and seeing what took place after 8 years, no Iraqi responded, or at least we didn't hear of any Iraqi responding to Saddam Hussein returning everything back to Iran. But I think what took place today also undercuts the Iraqi position, at least from the American perspective.
In what way?
Well, here we have Aziz coming to supposedly deal with Secretary Baker, and what do we hear? Saddam Hussein saying Americans will swim in their own blood. Aziz saying we'll attack Israel if we're attacked. No mention at all of Kuwait in his statement, and then just throwing the president's letter aside. I would venture to say that there'll be a number of Americans now that will support the president's position, and it'll put increasing pressure on Congress to support the president's position.
That was my last question. We've got about 30 seconds left. This had to enhance President Bush's hand on Capitol Hill with this debate starting tomorrow on his policies.
I would think so, and I would think there's going to be a groundswell of support from the American public to the president's position. I think it puts an increasing amount of pressure on Congress to come out with something solid to support the president.
Dr. Sarkisian, thank you very much for joining us again tonight. I expect we'll be talking with you again.
Thank you.
Allison?
Reserve units all over the country are still being called tonight to support ground and air forces in Operation Desert Shield. 3 Army detachments and an Illinois National Guard unit passed through Fort Sheridan just this morning on their way to the Persian Gulf. And as Robert Jordan reports, they're prepared for war.
Hey, Saudi.
The reserve units left Fort Sheridan at mid-morning, heading to Billy Mitchell International Airport. Next stop, Saudi Arabia. But upon arrival at the airport, it was hurry up and wait. The plane, which was experiencing engine problems, was scheduled to undergo repairs. The troops used this time to write letters, talk among themselves, and ponder their future.
Out of 7 of us that are going, 3 of us have been together for 13 years in the unit. We also all work in civilian life in the same profession that we're in right now.
Which is hospital?
That's hospital, yes. I'm an operating room technician.
Along with the medical unit that's leaving today, 2 other units will be going along as well. A transportation truck unit and a heavy equipment maintenance unit. And even though most of the time they'll be working in the rear, there could be times when they'll be asked to go to the front to possibly retrieve equipment and face hostile fire. Even so, many of them say they're ready to go.
They're ready to go.
What's the morale scene?
Very high. It's today is kind of quiet, but I think the reality has finally hit them that, yes, we are going.
For some soldiers, this is a return trip to Operation Desert Shield, so first-timers ask them what to expect.
Flies are bad, the heat is hot, it's not going to be hot right now, it's going to be getting hot again, and you get to take a shower.
The waiting, they say, is taking its toll, and they're ready to go.
Well, I wish we'd leave. I'm tired of waiting around. We're ready to go.
We've been going, and we haven't been going, and they tell us we're going, and you're not going. Now we finally go, and now the plane breaks down, so it's just kind of a pain.
So you're ready to finally get it moving, huh?
Yeah, I'm tired of calling my family, telling them I'm leaving. I'm upsetting them, and it's time to go and come back.
One soldier, asleep with her M16, said she was dreaming of home, the island of Pohnpei in the South Pacific. Even so, she said the cold steel in her arms gave her warm feelings.
It's my friend, my best friend.
What's that?
My weapon. M16.
The soldiers said they were combat ready, but still hopeful something could be worked out, even though January 15th is less than a week away. Robert Jordan, WGN News.
And the soldiers you just saw are from reserve units based in Milwaukee, Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and Columbia, Missouri. And 34 members of the O'Hare-based Air Force Medical Reserve Unit will report for processing tomorrow morning. They've been activated to stay in the Middle East.
From the sunny Pacific to our eastern shores, thousands of young women begin the long road to Atlantic City, where 50 finalists light up the boardwalk and compete for the world's most coveted crown. Hopes are soaring as the eyes of the nation look to Atlantic City. Tonight, 50 of the finest women in America who have come so far reach the end of the road and face their moment of truth. Our hosts, Regis Philbin and Kathy Lee Gifford. The Miss America pageant is brought to you by New Loving Care from Clairol, now with a richer formula and new conditioners. And by Pond's Cleanser and Toner in One. Pond's, it brings out your natural radiance. And by Maybelline. Maybe she's born with it, maybe it's Maybelline. And by the heartbeat of America, Chevrolet and your local Chevrolet dealer. Live from Convention Center in Atlantic City, the 1992 Miss America pageant. Straight to the top. Straight to the top. Straight to the top. Here are the 50 Miss America contestants heading straight to the top. Miss America Orchestra. The Scott Salmon Miss America Dancers. Are your hosts, the stars of Live with Regis and Kathy Lee, Regis Philbin and Kathy Lee Gifford.
Good evening, Regis.
Hi, Kathy Lee. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Super Bowl.
Reg, what are you talking about? Super Bowl? Look around you. What is wrong with you?
Let me finish. Welcome to the Super Bowl of pageants. Yeah, it's Saturday, September 19th, 1992. We're here in Atlantic City, New Jersey.
And what a great time we're having in Atlantic City. The Miss America pageant is fun. It's entertainment. It's excitement.
And don't forget, it happens to be full of suspense, too.
Especially for the 50 contestants waiting to come out here. Of course, they can't do that as long as you know who keeps talking.
As long as I keep talking.
That's right.
Look who's talking.
Well, all right. Suppose we both stop talking.
Now you're talking. Let's start by bringing on the reigning Miss America, the first ever from the last state to enter the Union.
That's right, and she certainly has done Hawaii proud. She has also done a fine job as National Goodwill Ambassador for the Children's Miracle Network, which represents more than 160 children's hospitals throughout the United States.
Ladies and gentlemen, Miss America 1992, Carolyn Sapp.
That is quite an entrance.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
Now, I'm sorry, but I know this woman has been traveling the entire country all year, Reach. You didn't eat one chicken dinner, did you?
Oh, I ate lots of chicken dinners. 300,000 miles worth this year.
Was it a fabulous year?
Can you believe the year is over?
I can't believe it. It's been such an exciting week, and thank you for joining us.
Well, it's coming to an end very soon,
right.
Carolyn. You okay about that?
I am. I'm off to Europe tomorrow morning to help promote tourism for the United States, so I'm excited.
You've done a beautiful job, hasn't
You've been a great Miss America. You really have.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Carolyn Sapp. Miss America 1992.
Oh, thank you, Regis. Thank you, Kathy Lee. In just a few minutes, you'll meet tonight's 50 contestants. First, show someone you love new Richer Formula Loving Care from Clairol.
Okay, this is a personal message for my younger sister, Kim. Here goes. I know you're not gonna like this, but I'm the only one who can tell you. You're going gray. I mean, I'm not talking, oh, isn't this cute? I have one little gray hair gray. I mean, you gotta do something about it. I did. Loving Care. Look, I just washed it in. Boom. My own color's back. No peroxide, no ammonia, no problem.
New Loving Care from Clairol, now with a richer formula and new conditioners.
So come on, or people are gonna think I'm the younger sister.
Look, my greatest softness creation ever. Come on and see. New Snuggle Singles. Singles pop out individually. Pop them in. Let a whole world of softness begin.
New Snuggle Singles. Simple, single,
and soft.
Good morning, birthday girl.
Don't remind me. I hope no one finds out.
It's our secret.
Introducing Pond's Foaming Cleanser and Toner in one. It deep cleans and helps tighten pores to bring out your natural radiance.
And this birthday wish goes out to Deborah Palmer from a secret admirer.
You are so beautiful to me.
Pond's. It brings out your natural radiance.
Judging the Miss America pageant doesn't begin tonight. The contestants have been through 3 days of very tough preliminary competitions, and it's been every bit as tough for our preliminary judges. They're the people whose job it is to pick the top 10 from our 50 state winners.
We've got a marvelous blue ribbon panel of men and women who have made those choices, and we'd like you to meet them right now.
Anne-Marie Bivens is the author of the book Miss America in Pursuit of the Crown and an authority on pageants. Tom Faircloth is a veteran judge of state pageants and a former official of the Miss Georgia State Pageant. Dorothy Benham, Miss America 1977, has been both judge and MC here at the pageant and has sung on Broadway and in opera. Susan Eby is a former TV newscaster who has served as producer of the Miss Idaho pageant for 7 years. Joan Sittenfield is a senior vice president at Universal Television. She supervised casting for such shows as Coach and Northern Exposure. Clarence Waldron is associate editor of Jet Magazine and winner of the Golden Quill Award for feature writing. Dennison Keller is an experienced judge on the state level and has also produced 2 state pageants. Thank you.
All right, we're delighted to be back, ladies and gentlemen, hosting the pageant for the 2nd year in a row.
And the more time we spend with these young women, the more we realize just how sensational they are.
And what an eclectic and interesting group they are, too.
That's for sure. Reach, do you realize that tonight there's a woman here who could actually arrest you if you get out of hand?
Oh, yeah? Do you realize there are 2 law students here who know how to sue you if your mouth gets out of hand?
Well, there's a fiddler here. There is a fiddler here who can fiddle your brains out, which, now that I think about it, shouldn't take too long.
There are 2 cloggers here who can unclog every pore in your face.
And amazingly, there is is here tonight, ladies and gentlemen, for the first time ever in pageant history.
What?
A woman who can deliver a baby while playing Lady of Spain on the marimba.
Now that's talent.
That's talent.
But did you know that there are 16 communications majors who want your job more than anything else in the world?
My job?
Yes.
There's even a sports broadcaster here who wants Frank Gifford's
She
job.
should have it.
They're an amazing group of women.
Seriously, they are 50 outstanding women, one from every state of the Union. And if you think you know how to pick a winner, watch carefully as they introduce themselves. See if you can choose which one should be Miss America 1993.
Kim Wimmer, Miss Alabama, a senior musical theater major at Birmingham Southern College.
Carrie Baumgartner, Miss Alaska, an education major at the University of Alaska in Anchorage.
Robin Rayborn, Miss Arizona, a Master of Music graduate in vocal performance pedagogy from Arizona State University.
Shannon Boyd, Miss Arkansas, a first-year law student at the University of Arkansas at Little Rock.
Patricia Northrup, Miss California, a graduating senior at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, majoring in aeronautical engineering. Stacy Rose, Miss Colorado, a graduate of the University of Denver, music and business.
Valeria Bate, Miss Connecticut, a recent graduate from the University of Connecticut, where I obtained my degree in vocal performance.
Kathleen Slavin, Miss Delaware, a graduate student pursuing a master's degree in counseling at Wilmington College.
Leanza Cornett, Miss Florida, a sophomore majoring in organizational communication at Rollins College.
Stephanie Michelle, Miss Georgia, a marketing graduate from New York University. Pam Kimura, Miss Hawaii, a communication graduate from the University of Hawaii. Stephanie Ann Smith, Miss Idaho, a marketing graduate from Boise State University, pursuing my master's degree in business administration.
chemistry, Miss Vermont, a graduate of the University of Vermont with a degree in political science and music history.
Laura Flanham, Miss Virginia, a chemistry and music double major, currently in graduate school at Duke University.
Pauline Ann Kearney, Miss Washington, a third-year law student at the University of Washington, where I'm concurrently working toward my MBA.
Kimberly Parrish, Miss West Virginia, a theater student at West Virginia University.
Stephanie Ann Klett, Miss Wisconsin, a graduate student in theater arts at Morehouse College.
Stacy Dawn Sinadaisy, Miss Wyoming, sports broadcasting major at Laramie County Community College.
Told you they were sensational. Coming up next, the top 10 in this year's Miss America pageant. But first, we'd like you to see what's new for 1993 from the heartbeat of America, Chevrolet.
This man has two of the fastest feet in the world. But even they can't pump a brake as fast as this Chevy Cavalier's standard anti-lock brake system.
Oh, yeah?
Without ABS, no matter how fast your feet are, this can happen.
Whoa!
But to help you stop and steer on slippery surfaces, Cavalier's anti-lock brakes pump on and off up to 15 times a second.
Yeah, but can they do this?
The safety of ABS. What else would you expect from the heartbeat of America?
I used to think that having a bran muffin and coffee for breakfast was a great way to lose weight. Boy, was I wrong. Just one incredibly delicious Ultra Slim Fast fruit juice shake has less than half the calories and 75% less fat. In fact, it would be hard to find a breakfast this low in fat and calories and as high in this many of the nutrients doctors recommend. So a Slim Fast shake is a lot more than a great way to lose weight. It's a healthy way to start the day.
Who says you can't have it all? Not me. And certainly not Fruit of the Loom. They have all the styles you'd ever want, with all the comfort you'd ever need. All in the feminine style collection from Fruit of the Loom.
All right, you have met our preliminary judges. Well, now they can relax and enjoy the pageant. They've done their job very well, and we thank them. Now for tonight's finals, we bring on an entirely new panel of celebrity judges. They've got to evaluate our top 10 and finally decide on just one, Miss America 1993, and what a job. As you're about to see, we put the job in the very best of hands. These judges are so well known and so well accomplished, they truly need no introduction.
But you're going to anyway.
But since I'm getting paid by the word, I think I'll